Hi, I'm Mickey,
Hi, I'm Kat.
and we are Cat and Mouse Astrology here on the full moon lunar eclipse, March 25th. We're actually talking before the 25th, but we're talking about the 25th.
Full moon eclipse.
Full moon eclipse in Libra.
What's going on with the eclipse? What's our chart looking like? You got
I
us prepped with a bunch of visuals.
yeah, I've made some pretty stuff for us to look at. Let me share it. Let's take a look. I think it's going to be an interesting one because it's got a lot of a lot of need for balance. I
Oh,
think,
yeah. It's that time of year, equinox.
yeah, yeah, it's a need for balance, and here we are needing some balance. So it's the full moon, 5 degrees,
Five
and
degrees.
sorry, go ahead, Kat.
No, go ahead.
Well, it is loosely trine Pluto because it's 5 degrees away from Pluto, and some astrologers would say three, that's the limit. We don't go beyond 3 degrees. Um, so I'm saying loosely because I
Mhm.
still think that there's a lot of power in Pluto happening just at the beginning as it's dipping its toes into Aquarius. It's just at 1 degree.
Right.
Uh, and this is at 5 degrees, so it's still loosely in this trine, and it's also in a loose sextile then to the sun
Okay.
in Aries. So I think Pluto's activating this. It also feels real spring-like to have that compost involved in this moon.
Mm,
The compost that
Pluto.
is Pluto, yeah.
Yeah, the wealth from the deep.
The wealth from the deep, the way we use that black soil to enrich our gardens. Well, it can also enrich our lives if we uncover it, air it out, and use it right.
That's right. Mix it in.
But this is an eclipse of something of a Libran nature,
Mm.
right? Because the eclipse is happening to the moon in Libra. And, by definition, the eclipse is when the node is close to the fuller or new moon. So that's how you can tell if somebody's born near an eclipse is you look to see how close the nodes are to their moon in their birth chart.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But black moon Lilith is opposite Venus in this moon.
Wow.
And it's a pretty tight opposition. And Neptune's right there. Venus is coming into the presence of Neptune. So I think our deepest desires may be in shadow here because Neptune is really confusing Venus. It's a Venus story. And Venus is opposite Black Moon. They're as far away, as they can get from each other.
Hmm.
We could be asking ourselves some questions at this moon.
Good. Would you like to hear what the moon sign is?
Oh, yeah.
Symbol?
Yeah.
Five, five Libra. A man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision.
Ooh.
So it's
Ooh, that's perfect.
I'm going to read it again. A
Please.
man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision. So it's not that they're making their visions real into concrete forms, it's that they're visioning the concrete forms, right? So it's still a very internal thing.
I think that's so crazily perfect. It always blows my mind how perfect these Sabian symbols are. Sometimes they're really elusive and they're like, what does that mean? But this one fits so well because, as I say, it's a Venus story.
Yeah,
And Venus had her conjunction with the lover back in February.
right.
And then they were immediately stopped by Saturn coming right in between them. Venus
Hmm.
hits Saturn, and that's like, whoa. Now, Venus has moved beyond Saturn, but Saturn is now between Venus and Mars,
Right.
with Venus approaching this. So I feel that the weight of Saturn in that Sabian symbol.
Hmm.
Read it one more time.
Hmm. A man watches his ideals taking a concrete form before his inner vision.
Venus is the ideals.
Venus is the
passed
ideals.
through the structure of Saturn.
Yeah, Saturn is the concrete forms. Neptune is the inner vision.
That's right. And Venus is the one that's taken this ride.
Yeah. And we're the man.
For men or women, right? Or whoever.
Right?
These are our ideals. These are our deepest, deepest values,
Deepest value.
enhanced by this trine with Pluto, but also made real and structured by Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good time to plant a seed and see something grow.
That's for sure.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I like that Sabian symbol. So what's the opposite for the sun?
Aries. Give me just a minute. Aries 5. A square brightly lighted on one side.
Interesting. A square brightly lighted on one side. I can feel that one too.
You can feel that one?
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I feel that one. When we're looking at the moon full, we're looking at the sun-moon opposition,
You're right.
right? And something's brightly lit on one side.
That's right.
Yeah. And in this particular case, at this particular time, at this particular eclipse full moon, lunar eclipse, we've got a bundle of stellium of planets in Aries heralding the new, right? It's not just the sun there, it's also Mercury, it's Venus is approaching, it's there's a good old happy time going on there in Aries as we have an equinox, a spring equinox.
Yeah. All right. That's brightly lit on one side.
Brightly lit on one side. Let me share our screen again and let's take a look at the chart. So I did a loose interpretation of this as I don't know how to get this bar out of my way. Go away, bar. I don't know if it'll show or not. Maybe that'll
I
give
see
it.
the chart.
Okay, good. Well, again, the moon reflects, it's our emotions, it's receptive, it's seen as, yin, negative, passive, female. Do you have other things you might add to an interpretation of the moon's meaning?
Fluid,
Yeah.
changing.
Often represents the mother in a
Yeah.
chart. Um,
The subconscious.
the subconscious, yeah. Yeah. And maybe even our desires for roots, home, and family.
Mm.
Oh,
Cyclicality.
and say again.
Cyclicality. Cyclical.
Cyclicality, yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like that one a lot. So it's in opposition, of course, with the sun, as we talked about. That's what a full moon is, which may create tension. They say that the full moons are when, our inner werewolf comes out. Like hospitals and police stations fill up at full moons
They
because
really do. They really do.
they really do. Ask anybody who works in either of those professions, and they will say, "Oh, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real." So things sometimes come to a head, and that's the astrological interpretation of things coming to a head, which is why I find it so interesting that we also have this huge new beginning with the equinox and the sun in Aries. So
Mm-hmm.
things are coming to a head as things are starting over again, which they're not always so close together.
True.
And the Pluto is giving us, the regeneration, the transformation, the power of rebirth, the planting of the seed in this rich soil.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's Libra, I'm interpreting this as, a feeling, the moon, a need for a deep connection, the Libran thing, a desire. But this is obscured or temporarily dimmed or cut off, and that's the eclipse.
Okay. It's temporary.
It's temporary. That's right. So if you're feeling far away from your desires, give it a minute because there's a rebirth coming.
That's right.
So here it is. Here's the charts.
Look at that square brightly lit on one side.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot on on one side of the chart.
It is so balanced on one side. It's definitely
Wow.
brightly lit on one side. So interesting. So I highlighted black moon over here, or sorry, like green lidded black moon, because she's in trine with Uranus at the same time as she's in opposition with Venus.
That's really exciting to me for some reason. But I just really love the black moon.
Yeah, and I'm have an affinity for Uranus. Change isn't always what we want or expect, but it's often what we need.
Right. Right.
The elephant in the room to me is this conjunction with Jupiter, which, because these are big old planets, this is some big stuff happening right now and through the next 2 months,
Yeah.
culminating on April 20th.
Right.
Because April 20th is our peak. That's when they conjunct exactly.
Right. That's the
Jupiter and
magic making day.
magic making day. So, wow, let's hope it's a
Check your
good magic.
calendars, friends.
Yeah. What do you think about the trine with Venus there? Yeah, it's a sextile. Sextile
Sextile
Venus
between Venus
and both Jupiter and Uranus, and then trine black moon.
right. Well, it makes me wonder if there's some subconscious thing about our values and our desires and our relationships that need some sort of jolt of a change. There's some big change that's coming, or
Yeah,
you're working it out right now. But I still say that you don't necessarily know all of the pieces to the puzzle because you're dealing with Neptune and the Black Moon still.
right. And so, and this opposition is showing that what we value and desire, and Venus is at home in Pisces. So
Yeah,
that's kind of like our biggest desires, what we're really, what we really value, what we really want right there is far, far away from Black Moon. So we're not seeing what Black Moon has to offer, and what Black Moon's message is you don't know. You don't know what you want.
you don't know what you want. I know what I want,
I'm here
but
in Open Pisces. I know what I want. Black Moon's like, no, you don't. No, you do not.
you do not know what you want.
And especially with
Wanting
the
and
approach.
needing and getting are all three very different things.
Exactly. And we may be real tangled up. Venus is also the, you know, give me the cha-ching, baby.
That's
I
right.
want my bling, sweetheart.
That's right.
And it's not just those higher values, it's everything we value, everything we want, which is not always good for us.
That's
It's,
right.
it's the extra glass of wine or the extra piece of chocolate or with Jupiter right there, this could signal watch out for overeating, because it could be
Right.
real easy to eat a little bit more, drink a little bit more, party a little too much, that
Make
kind
too
of
many
thing.
friends.
Right. And then not see it,
Uh-huh.
because Black Moon is it's not reflecting back to us what gives us any clue about what we're doing or how it's impacting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the approach of Venus to Neptune? Because they're coming close into a exact conjunction.
Well, I mean, that looks like it's going to be fun. It's Neptune is still at the fertile garden under the full moon. So if it's still there when Venus hits it, that seems like a great combo.
Sure does. Sure does. I really like that. And one of the reasons we look at the new and full moon is because they're kind of an imprint, right? They're a point. in time that we can study specifically to see how it marks the future. The new moon plays until the next full moon and shows the coming of things. The full
Yeah.
moon is the culmination of things and plays for 2 weeks until the next new moon.
Yeah.
So
I've
we,
heard some astrologers say that the new moon sets the tone for the month to the next new moon. And the
yeah,
full moon sets the tone for the next 6 months till the next opposite full moon.
particularly with an eclipse.
Yeah.
Right. So the eclipse is really setting it, again, we've got markers in time. I like to play with quantum mechanics. Most stuff is a wave floating around, but once in a while you get a point. You get an
Yeah.
actual particle. And here we have a bunch of particles. We've got the sun right there in Aries at the equinox. We've got it opposite the moon on a lunar eclipse. And then we've got the approaching Venus, or sorry, Jupiter Uranus conjunction. And as you pointed out earlier, something's being made real with Saturn, which is definitely in play here in its opposition as well, coming opposition to Black Moon. So something's forming.
Do you want to hear the Black Moon's symbol?
I think so. It seems important.
19 Virgo, a caravan of cars headed for promised lands.
Oh, interesting and frightening.
I'm going to point, I know, right? It's like, oh, colonization. Let's not go there right now. I'll focus in on the fact that it's a caravan. And so wherever you're going, whatever promised land, values, future ideals, inner vision, desires that you've got, it's going to be in community.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do it in community. This is no solo trips here in this eclipse season.
That makes perfect sense as well, because we've got the trine with Pluto and Aquarius. This moon is trine Pluto and Aquarius.
Right. Sign of the people in the collective.
Sign of the people in the collective. And yeah. And I think Pluto is, like I said, we don't even really know what Pluto is going to mean for us over the next 20 years. We'll have to look back on this one, I'm afraid, to really get its full gist, but it's definitely, yeah, I feel like something's approaching. Something is approaching kind of quickly, and it's a good opportunity to be aware, and being aware may have to be more of a put on your goggles underwater awareness. Because again, I see this as a Venus story, and Venus is in Pisces in her sign of exaltation,
right,
approaching Neptune, who is also the ruler of Pisces. Neptune is at home in Pisces. That's at the almost the 29th degree. I believe that they're going to meet at 29. I'll have to look that up. But at almost 29 degrees, we are at a birthing point of something that is reflecting our values.
Right.
So that Black Moon, read Black Moon one more time at 19 Virgo. That's important here.
A caravan of cars headed toward the promised lands.
Right. So yeah, as you pointed out, what is to you, what is to each of us, our promised land?
Yeah.
What is it that we think, is, I mean, for some people, I want to go to Mars and be a robot. For other people, it's like, I want to be in a beautiful field of flowers. I'm the second type. But what's your promised land? And
who's there with you?
And who's there with you? Yeah. Yeah, this may be an opportunity to really make a, what do we want to call it? An Enneagram? I'm not sure if that's the right word, an imprint, to create, a vision board.
A sigil?
Yeah. Yeah. And what was you had another, what's Jupiter at 15?
15 Taurus.
maybe remembering from last time. It could be have moved on now.
An old teacher fails to interest his pupils in traditional knowledge,
Interesting.
which just tells you there's changes coming.
Well, right, we can see that coming up.
Yeah.
What about 20 for 20 degrees Taurus for Uranus?
20, a moving finger points to significant passages in a book.
Mhm.
So that's some bibliomancy. That's Uranus telling you to do some bibliomancy.
Uh-huh. And there's Jupiter reflecting, Jupiter, the teacher,
Yeah.
who might not be interested in his pupils with this old stuff. So there may be a reason to go look back and see what that old stuff has to offer and how we can
I
bring
know.
the positive of that into the future.
I know. I'm like, can I pick an old book and just see what happens? Just see what happens.
Would
Is
that be
it
fun?
a
Yeah, that could be
Libran
cool.
book?
Uh-huh.
When the village picks up and moves to a new gathering ground or camel break or cane break, these children leave their constructions behind without any sign of distress.
Oh, that's interesting. Simple. Yeah. Boy, it's time to pick up and go.
Right?
You know,
See how bibliomancy works? Like we're talking about caravans and moving on, and I open up Ursula K. Le Guin, and it's like when it's time to move on,
it's time to move on. You can just leave it behind. You know,
when
that's
the village
interesting
picks up
for
and moves on.
yeah. I'm gonna throw something out here just for S and G. We can also move on from people
Yeah.
collectively.
Ah.
Collectively. Right? Not just because they die. Sometimes it's worse when they die because that's how martyrs are made.
Ah.
But sometimes you know how people like just sort of fade away. Do you remember
Yeah.
that long ago there was an ice skater who attacked another ice skater?
Right.
She was really famous for a long time. Everybody was invoking her. Nobody knows her name anymore. I can't even think of it.
I can, but that's all right.
What is it? Just out of curiosity. It's
Tanya
Tanya,
Harding.
Tanya,
Tanya.
Tanya Harding. Yeah. So, I mean, these people that create a huge impact in our collective imaginations, they just disappear after a while.
They do. They really do. You know, it's like
Yeah.
every empire falls because some fucking freak ends up in power.
And they don't realize
And
they have no clothes on.
eventually, people forget their names unless they study that stuff.
Exactly. Thank goodness.
Time to move on. Leave
That's right.
your childish constructions behind, and don't
Exactly.
be distressed about it.
Yep. And here we are at this eclipse. You know, this is the eclipse. The symbols of letting something go in Libra for a greater good.
Which is what we talked about last time. It's like Mars is going to cut away that shit from relationships that you didn't need anymore. And here we are again. Like, who do you want to keep? Who's going to the promised land with you?
Right. Right. And where is that promised land? Which direction are we?
I don't know. It's in your inner vision. It's in your inner vision.
Yeah.
For right now.
Someone share a screen again. There is one thing, you know, I think Venus is beyond Saturn now, but Mars is back behind Saturn here.
Right.
I think Mars is you know, he's unaspected right now, but he's swimming underwater,
Yeah,
right?
he's in his detriment, right? Mars is in his fall.
Mars is in his fall. He can't get anywhere. If you're trying to get something done and you're feeling like, man, I don't have the energy, I don't have the direction, well, that could be why. And with the approach of Mars to Saturn, you know, that's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Mars will get beyond Saturn. It will. Mars is much faster than Saturn. It will move beyond Saturn. But I think that we've got a couple of weeks for, you know, anything that you're trying to get done could be feeling nebulous.
Mm.
Right? And at the same time, if you can embrace Venus and her, who cares about what you need to get done? Let's look at the you know. Did you read Venus already at 16
I
Pisces,
remember
right?
I did. 16 Pisces.
Yeah.
Oh no, an Easter promenade.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah, we're all gonna go having a go promenade. I like the word
Put on
promenade.
your best dress and walk around.
Put on your good shoes. Put on your
Show off
good
your
shoes.
stuff.
Headed to Neptune. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to scoot down and look at a couple other interpretations I had. Here was
Okay.
a start of Venus in Pisces. So, as I say, I think of this as a Venus story because
Yeah.
we have the Venus 8-point star that just finished. We have a new beginning with Venus that started last year. And I don't know, let's you and I talk about that in a different video because I don't want to dive down that rabbit hole. But
Okay.
that's why I see this as a Venus story. And she finally caught up with her lover. She conjoined with Mars on February 22nd. So you
Yeah.
might look back and see, what that meant for you. Then they were stopped and separated by Saturn beginning March 22nd. So that's when Venus hit the wall. Venus hit the wall on March 22nd. That was just a few days ago. Now,
Right.
now Venus is nearing her conjunction with Neptune. Won't be 2 weeks before that happens. And this reflects our deepest and most passionate desires
Mm.
in sextile with Jupiter and Uranus, while opposite Black Moon, and Black Moon is um, trine Uranus. So, like you said, Venus, there's a big change coming.
Yeah.
There's a huge opportunity here, but you may not know exactly what the change is going to be until it hits you, because that's the nature of Uranus.
Right.
And Mars is just swimming hard and getting nowhere. So here, I guess, if you have the passion to act on and fight for highest values and truths, that would probably be a good thing. But your fight may have to be something that's more internal and resolving something, and maybe um, looking at what your promised land is.
Yeah.
What is
I'm
it
here
you
there with you.
right? And of course, I have to put in there: are you registered to vote? Because it's a Venus story, and women in the United States have lost a whole lot of rights over the last 2 years that are pretty intense.
That's right.
I'm worried for all of young girls.
Oh, who's in the White House? Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, but the White House didn't make the decision. It was the Supreme Court that made the decision.
Well, we're not going to get into that. And who's got what power?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully the Supreme Court will make a different decision. But these are the squares we have to be aware of, right? We've got Lilith, the shadow side, women's power, repressed power,
Yeah.
dark energy, inner truth. Trine, there's an advantage here, there's an opportunity. Uranus, there's an opportunity, in my mind, for us to take our power back, ladies.
Yeah.
But the
That
opposite
opportunity is always there, by the way.
true. Whether or not we act on it here is
Right.
the
But
unknown.
this is we're approaching a time where like our actions upon it will be supported celestially.
Yeah, once Mars gets out from the other side of Saturn.
Yeah.
This conjunction with Mars Saturn, I don't know. What do you think of that? What do you think of that coming symbolically? What do you think of the Mars Saturn approach?
I think it could be really dependent on people's personal charts. Because there might be some of us who are really needing to find some more structure in our lives, and you could use that to your advantage. And then there might be others of us who are like, God damn it, I just keep getting restricted and restricted and restricted. And so I don't know. I think that could go either way.
I completely agree. I think that I really like Rick Levine's description of Mars Saturn as being a race car driver,
What is
because
that?
because Mars is the gas and Saturn is the brakes.
Oh,
And if you think about yourself as, a really skilled driver, well, you know when to apply more gas and you know when to apply more brakes. And sometimes you're fluttering those pedals.
Yeah.
Go, 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 whoops, 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 go, 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 whoops, 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 round the corner, round the corner, So it may be that we really have to use some skill as, in this particular time to get where we want to go.
Yeah.
Use both the
Right.
structure of Saturn and the speed of Mars underwater, which I think Austin Coppock, talks about submarine and submarine warfare and blowing things up underwater, like volcanoes erupting underwater. And so these are some kind of ominous things. And there was the tsunami that hit with a Mars Saturn. So that's a Mars Saturn. I don't know if it was a conjunction or a square.
Yeah.
So Mars Saturn can be some intense stuff.
I bet. We got a couple weeks till then?
Yeah, I mean, right, we do.
In between the eclipses, basically? Or is it going to happen
Yeah,
on the next eclipse?
in between the eclipses, yeah. And I don't know. Look at I'll see if I can find the conjunction if you'll look up the Sabian symbol for Mars.
Yeah. What's Mars at right now? 5 Pisces?
Mars is at 1 Pisces.
1 Pisces. Oh, that's an unexpected thunderstorm.
Uh, so
Oh, wait, no, it's not. I'm sorry. That was Aquarius.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Um,
Pluto. Pluto's the unexpected thunderstorm.
Pluto's the unexpected thunderstorm. Mars at 1 Pisces is a squirrel hiding from hunters.
That's how more I see, Mars right now is a squirrel hiding from hunters, darting around as fast as it can, and it can't quite get away. It's underwater.
Great.
Sort of feel sorry for that squirrel, don't you? Okay, so it's past. I went past it. Sorry, I'm moving too fast, just like Mars. It's April 11th, 12th, 13th,
Okay.
exact
So
on the 10th, exact on the 10th of April.
exact on the 10th. Okay.
Yeah.
April
So
10th, April 20th.
right, and then April 20th is when we get the Jupiter Uranus conjunction.
Right.
So having the Saturn Mars conjunction, Mars Saturn conjunction at the same time as we get the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. Whoa, that could be a surprise. Let's take a look at a couple more of these symbols just for we make sure we've gone thoroughly on them. So Mars is just running around like a squirrel. Hiding.
Hiding.
I don't know what to do. Hide my nuts. Hide my nuts. Pluto is at, what was Pluto again?
An unexpected thunderstorm.
An unexpected thunderstorm. What's Saturn at 14? Oh, wait, I'm not at 14.
Oh, are you on the wrong day again?
Did I share the wrong one? Excuse me.
I
Let me
don't
see if
know.
shared.
I can't see the date.
I went to the other.
Oh, you went to the 10th.
Yeah, I went to the other tab. Scroll back up here. Sorry about that. That was not the right chart. Here's the right chart. Okay, so yeah, we had Saturn is at 12 right now.
A sword used in many battles in a museum.
One more time.
A sword used in many battles in a museum.
An old battle sword.
An old battle sword on display.
Sorry?
On display.
On display.
It doesn't technically say that. It could be like in the archives.
So what is 14 Pisces? Because that's where it will be when Mars conjuncts.
An officer drilling his men in a simulated attack.
Yeah, it feels kind of ominous. I think Austin Coppock might have a point here.
Does feel kind of ominous coming up on April 10th.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you let's look at a few of the symbols in Aries.
Okay.
We already looked at Neptune, you've already looked at Venus in Pisces, but let's look at the Chiron at 18. First off, sorry, look at the node at the North Node at 15 Aries.
15 Aries. Brownies dancing in the setting sun.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to head towards. That's
Right.
why we're on this promenade. We're trying to get to the brownies dancing in the setting sun.
Which is a little trickstery. Brownies are a little trickstery.
Yeah, that black moon, right? You really know where you're going? You sure you want to be there?
You sure you want to come to our party?
Come with me. There's something beautiful I want to show you down in the She. And then you go down there and you come back out. It's been 100 years. All your friends are gone. Yeah, things get strange.
Damn
What
promises.
about 18 where Chiron sits? 18 Aries.
Magic carpet. A
Again?
magic carpet. That
Well,
can
practically,
transport you places.
yeah, all these symbols are so about travel and moving and going somewhere and
Sure.
full of movement.
Even thunderstorms travel.
Yeah. And finally, what's 23 of Aries? That's Mercury, our herald.
Hmm. An open window and a net curtain blowing into a cornucopia.
Hmm. More promised land stuff.
More promised land stuff.
Very interesting. We've got
Sounds
some
good.
interesting symbols here. Any other comments on this?
No, I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm gonna scroll down for a minute and
Scroll down.
got one
I'm
more.
gonna keep thinking about that like inner vision of your highest ideals taking form.
Yeah, yeah. With
I'm
these
heading to
trines, 'cause
promised land, and who am I getting there with?
right. There's a lot of trines here. Venus rules Libra. This is a Libra eclipse.
Hmm.
So, in something's being heralded. Mercury is coming along, toot toot toot, toot toot toot. The sun in Aries, the spring equinox, the new beginning, something has taken us somewhere, setting us up to go somewhere. And, I think if you can just deal with the feeling of poor Mars just running around like a squirrel hiding. There's your energy and focus on the Venus because the Venus has a sextile with Jupiter and
Hmm.
the Venus is sextile Uranus. Saturn is also a sextile Jupiter. So that structure you were talking about, Kat, I mean, there's an opportunity to, make that structure work for us.
Hmm.
The moon trine Pluto, sun sextile Pluto, we can dig deep, plant something in this soil. It's rich.
Yeah, just good soil for planting seeds.
I think it's a good soil for planting seeds. I do. All right. Well, I think that's all. I think we've torn that moon apart. Hopefully, it won't do the same to us.
Right? Yeah. See you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we got the next one coming up. Next one coming up. So, all right, you guys have a safe and prosperous, value-filled Venusian, yeah,
That's great.
eclipse full moon.
That's great.
And we will see you the next time on the next eclipse. Dun, dun, dun. Bye.
Bye.